This is a continuation of the last video, and it's going to be my download. I just had a whole fucking experience in front of you, and it wasn't a performance, and that's why I can do them regularly. And I just recently, in the past X amount of years, maybe 3-4 years, after getting really involved in ecstatic dance, which is something I can talk about for hours, and I think I will. For hours and hours and hours in my future, I will talk about ecstatic dance. It's that important to me. And not to convince anyone that what I experience is what they will experience, but I just know what kind of power it's had in my life. And I just want to share about it. But that is a beautiful rabbit hole to go down, but I'm not going to because I'm going to fucking track. As much as feels good. But I just went out, regulated. I had another spliff pipe consumption of tobacco and ganja with a different ratio. And this one I pulled more tobacco in because I want to bring whatever is ethereal, which is what ganja does for me, is allows me to go into like this ethereal, obscure, eccentric, whole kinds of language that doesn't make sense world. Doesn't really make sense to me simply because the words are just, they're really big. Anything 7 letters or over to describe something is just fucking complicated. I have a hard time with spelling words that big. So, but I'll use them until I have better words to describe whatever the fuck I'm talking about. So ethereal. Ethereal, that sounds fun to say. Ethereal plane. Ooh, playing with ethereal, that's also interesting to think about. Cannabis. I think mushrooms could be doing that too, but that's not what I'm using. I'm using cannabis and tobacco. And tobacco, something I learned in Hawaii, is that tobacco is grounding. But fuck, man, sometimes it can ground you to where you can't even get up off the ground grounding. And I think a lot about like what addiction is and why addiction exists. And I've been exposed to all different kinds of addictions since I was a little kid. And it's neither good or bad, right or wrong. On the other side of the field, I'll meet you there and we'll talk about it. It's Rumi, super dope quote. But addictions are what is being used to regulate what I think is the empathetic nervous system. Nervous system for sure. Empathetic is what I think it is because that's what I feel called to like focus a lot of my attention on, is the workings of the empathetic nervous system, because I feel that if you can regulate that in a way that is customized to you, because you're just different than me and I'm different than fucking everybody, and my nervous system works differently than everyone's, and so rather than just being put on Ritalin because I'm hyperactive, both my mind and my body, what the fuck? Because that's what they wanted to do when I was a little kid, is put me on Ritalin. And I didn't go on Ritalin. And I don't know why. I think it's because my parents were just fucking smart. But what would they know? Ritalin's a big fucking word. If someone says it's going to make your kid happier, then yeah, sure. Why wouldn't you want that? And also, it might make you feel a little less stressed. Because when you're around a hyperactive kid in a closed container for long periods of time, it doesn't matter how fucking loving that kid is, it'll drive you crazy. And I'm a very loving kid. Always been. So, my dad just kept me out in the wild. That's just what we did. We were just out in the wild all the time. Exploring, trying new things, learning new shit all the time. And we were doing it while he was teaching himself all this new shit. He didn't have any teachers other than what he had in books. He didn't even have the internet. But he made my life feel like, my childhood feel like Climbing Magazine. I was just in Climbing Magazine all the time. Not because I was doing all the epic shit that the whole world has to offer or whatnot, but all the epic shit my dad had to offer. And we did some epic shit. And that helped me regulate my nervous system. He didn't have to feel the intensity of my wild in a closed space for long durations of time because we just did that all the time. But it taught me something about myself that maybe I wouldn't have been able to teach myself. I would have had to put myself on Ritalin because I was like, what the fuck? I don't know how to regulate. And I think there's all kinds of ways to regulate. Space, especially if you're a personality that needs a lot of space. Some people don't. Some people regulate their nervous system in a little cave. I can't do that for fucking long before I just break the cave. Food, vibration, movement, expression, and the plants of the fucking Aina, marijuana, tobacco, and all the other fucking wild shit out there that is beyond my capacity of understanding, but there's cultures that have been doing it for a long fucking time, and that a lot of that knowledge is getting lost. So then we need pharmaceuticals. We need all of that created shit that's derived off of the natural stuff, so it can be mass produced and sold and controlled. And it's fucking expensive. And it's getting more and more expensive. Not only it's growing in, like, the numbers are getting bigger, but just how far away the numbers are growing in comparison to what people are making. It's not making sense. So if it's going to be way the fuck out there, and the only way that I have access to it is through really expensive, corrupt insurance companies. And I don't think everyone who tries to offer insurance is evil and twisted, but it's just the way the system works, where it puts our ability to take care of ourselves further and further away. So then back to the Aina. Get really fucking good at it. The technology is there. People did all of that work to like try shit and die from it and then try other shit and be healthy from it. And exploring, that's a lot of labor to not, and a lot of understanding, like hard knocks understanding of what works and what doesn't. And how you can regulate yourself. Damn. What if we regain the ability to regulate ourselves like fucking ninjas? Oh, that's the download. I don't know if any of that shit made sense, but that's what just channeled out of me. All right.